I think it is already well known that historical records show that the concept of insurance was born in a coffee shop down in the docks of the East End of London. The coffee house was the property of a certain Mr. Edward Lloyd, who welcomed ships' captains, wealthy merchants and the ship owners to his establishment to congregate, drink, be convivial and discuss the matters of the seafaring world that day. This would include ships' passages, cargoes, the weather and the risk therein of a safe journey for their vessels and their precious cargo. And they obviously wondered what would happen and how they would cope if there was a loss to their precious cargo and a loss of their livelihood. So the wealthy merchants decided to support them, to share and syndicate the risks, to help compensate, indemnify if all was lost, for a price of course. So we say that the concept of insurance, the first insurance contract, was actually created in the marine sector on the banks of the River Thames.
Welcome to the 12th edition of IRC's video series. This month, we are sitting with the center and the source of the trade credit insurance and political risk insurance industries, Lloyd's of London, and the world of wholesale broking. Our guest this month is Richard Coulson, the Executive Director of Political Risk at RKH Harrison, which is a leading independent brokerage based in London. And IRC works with RKH Harrison in all our approaches to the Lloyd's market in London. Welcome, Richard, and good to have you with us.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity to talk to you.
So what accounts for the strength and global reach of Lloyd's?
Well, Lloyd's, from its very beginnings as a coffee shop, Lloyd's is very much a social place. It's a social place where business is conducted very much in the spirit of good faith and in the spirit of trust. And that, even though 300 years have passed since the early days, that's very much how business is conducted today. And I think that's the fundamental of why Lloyd's has become such a resounding global success. Is it's seen as a trademark of regulatory strength and financial strength, and which fundamentally, when it's selling insurance, gives trust in the product. In terms of the global reach of Lloyd's, today there are over 91 syndicates who are servicing over 200 companies worldwide. And there aren't many excluded territories, although of course we are bound by OFAC and other such sanctions and EU sanctions in terms of countries that we are able to deal with and transact with, which is the very strict regulatory requirement that we have to work by. And I think it's fair to say that there are, in most countries, in main share indexes, there is not a company within those who have not in some way benefited from an insurance provided by Lloyd's.
And in terms of the financial strength and institutional management, more frequently than in the past, we were asked by our clients, especially our bank clients, to provide information on the counterparty risk of the insurers, that is, the risk of failure of the insurers that we bring to the table.
Counterparty risk is a very topical question, especially with banks using the insurance product in the credit space more and more for regulatory capital relief. And so it's something which the Lloyd's underwriters pay particular attention to in recognising and maintaining the importance of that financial strength. In terms of how they go about doing that, as we said at the beginning, the brand of Lloyd's is based very, very strongly around a spirit of trust and basically faith in the fact that the insurance product will respond and the claim will get paid. I think in Lloyd's still holds the mantra today that in over 300 years of operation, they have still never declined a valid claim, which I think speaks volumes in itself. In terms of how beyond the spirit of how business is conducted within Lloyd's, there's also a very, very strict regulatory framework and a two-tier regulatory framework in which upholds that financial strength, which clients should take great comfort in. as we mentioned earlier, most of the capital today is provided by large international corporates rather than private individuals who have their own financial credibility and financial standings, which should give the first layer of comfort in the solvency of the product. The second, within Lloyd's itself, there is a regulatory framework called the Lloyd's Chain of Security, which is effectively an internal fund in which each syndicate has to provide and pay up a minimum amount of capital in order to maintain solvency ratios against predetermined formulas, against the metrics of the business that they're writing, against their business plan each year.
So talk a bit more about the directorate's role in underwriting management at Lloyd's.
I think the facts of that system is really working more efficiently than ever today is that in 2013, even in spite of natural disasters and other catastrophes hitting the Lloyd's balance sheet, they wrote a gross premium of around about £26 million and £26 billion and generated a profit in the region of £3.2 billion. So a record year for Lloyd's, showing that despite catastrophic event, the business plan really works and is a long-term, robust, viable concern.
So that's a great snapshot of Lloyd's, the institution that our readers and listeners are very interested to have. But what about your firm, Richard? IRC's been working with RK Harrison since the early 2000s, but why? I mean, what do you do for us? Why are we always bothering you for assistance with this, that, and the other?
As wholesale brokers, we're very open and very used to being bothered for assistance, and that's what we get out of bed for in the morning. So I think we're safe that it's not a problem for us. In terms of what that means, RKH as a wholesale broker, we specialise in working with partners like IRC to service their business and basically provide the broking and placement function here in London. RKH is the UK's largest privately owned insurance brokers, and being privately owned, it enables us to be dynamic and very hugely incentivised to do the best jobs for our clients, to retain our clients, and to perform our function to the best of our abilities here in the city. The business model of RKH means that we work with IRC, who originate business on the ground locally in all of the territories in which they operate. And RKH's strength is our technical and broking expertise, which is positioned here in London. And we're very pleased to actually be able to announce that we've been awarded the 2014 Broker of the Year award, which again I hope shows that you are using the right partners in the market and that we are doing the right job right across all of the specialisms in which we operate.
Still, I'm envious, Richard. But we don't always approach Lloyd's. Given that you're working with IRC, a specialist broker, what type of risk do you expect to see from us?
We would only really expect to be seen where we can add real value to the process. We like to pride ourselves on product development, on being able to seek out extra capacity where it might not be readily available, given our relationship with the market, and as we say, being proximity to some key decision makers here in London, and our ability to apply our leverage both at a team level and at an RKH Group level in terms of making things happen for our clients and for IRC.
Well, Richard, that was a wonderful exposition on Lloyd's and how your company, RK Harrison, helps us to navigate that environment. In the few minutes that we have left, if you could speak to me like I'm a tourist and just share some of the most interesting traditions from an Englishman's perspective that one visitor should witness and see.
Well, I think most people, we start at the front door of Lloyd's, where you have the traditional traditional beefeater type guards. Above the caller's box, there is a lutein bell, which was a relic from a warship that was sunk off the coast of Britain. And also there is a book, a register, which is still updated on a daily basis by one of the what they call them waiters rather than beef eaters, but they sign in each day if there are any ships lost around the world using an old-fashioned feather quill and ink, which is a great spectacle for all those coming to see. Also, as a sign of the maritime history of Lloyd's, there's a huge cabinet displaying all of Napoleon's war memorabilia, which is obviously quite interesting.
Thank you, Richard, for your time and your insights today. You'll certainly be seeing us. Until next time, this is Valerie Serrani for IRC. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much, Val. Thanks very much for the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about Lloyd's and hopefully unravel the mystery slightly around this famous institution.